Some call him Karim the Dream Benzema, and it is only in his dreams, Jason, that he will be envisioning himself in a France jersey during Euro 2016. It's only days away, but Karim Benzema will not be playing. A player who you would expect to be leading the line of the French national team, but he has been left out amid allegations with his involvement in Valbuena's sex tape scandal. All that wrapped in a big bow is something you don't want to be part of your national team, so I do understand that there is concerns over team chemistry when you have a player that's been involved in something like that in your squad. That's not what Eric Cantona thinks, and it's not what Benzema thinks, according to recent quotes ran in a Deadspin article. So Eric Cantona came out first, and I will read you the direct quote. He has alluded to racism being the main factor why Benzema is not joining the French national team. Cantona wasn't just talking about Benzema, he's also including Ben Arfa into this, and his quote said that Benzema is a great player, Ben Arfa is a great player, Cantona told The Guardian, but Deschamps, he has a really French name. Maybe he is the only one in France to have a truly French name. Nobody in his family mixed with anybody, you know, like the Mormons in America. So I'm not surprised he used the situation of Benzema not to take him, especially after Valls said he could not play for France. And Ben Arfa is maybe the best player in France today, but they have some origins. I am allowed to think about that. So Cantona is being very vocal about his thoughts on a former teammate in Deschamps. He's called him a muppet. And I think he picked that up during his time in Manchester because it's a very usual term that flies around there. But this was also carried further when Benzema, as a result of these claims from Cantona, was asked about this. So the question from the journalist at Spanish Reports, De La Masa, said, do you think Deschamps or the French Football Federation president have taken the decision to leave you out of Euro 2016 under pressure against their will? Do you think Didier is a racist, as Cantona suggested? Benzema straightforward said no. I don't think so, but he has bowed to pressure from a racist part of France. You have to know that an extremist party reached the second round in the last two elections in France. I don't know. Therefore, if the decision was only Didier's because I have got on well with him and the president, I don't have a problem with anyone. In fact, they try to make out that I create problems, go looking for stories, and that I'm never happy, but this isn't true. I have more than 40 million fans on social media, and they said that people don't want me. That's ridiculous. So he didn't, I would say, agree necessarily with the bold racism claims that Cantona has suggested. But Jason, it seems like he's stating that this could well and truly be part of the reason why he's not involved. And I'm not going to come in here as if I'm all knowledgeable of French politics and the history of France. I do know that there is, like, French nationals is a claim that many people say isn't very true anymore, similar to, like, when people argue that Americans are solely American. Like, there's a lot of people from different cultures that come in and they migrate to the area and they settle there. Like, there's a huge African population in France. There's a lot of French nationals that have come from different countries and settled in the country. And according to these recent claims, Cantona says that Didier Deschamps is one of the only people who has the French name, and therefore he is discriminating against people who are not solely born and bred in France.
Do you know what I can say that the French probably don't give two flying fucks about? What their last names sound like, because what the fans want to see is France bring home a Euros. And what this sounds like to me is just a bunch of distraction, right? So while Benzema, I'm a big fan of Benzema, so like all bias aside, I consider him somebody that France probably wants on their squad, given his ability and given what he can do on any given night, as he's done with Real Madrid pretty much all season long. At times he was going to be pegged as a big transfer that he can come into a, I remember it was like last summer, it was Arsenal. Maybe they need to get someone like a Benzema in there to really be a good finisher. But Benzema's not a perfect player. He's not Ronaldo on that team. He's not the end-all, be-all of their attack. But what it sounds like to me is it's just a lot of distraction that France, as a squad for the Euros, doesn't want a part of their team. And that's tough to swallow because, look, I can't speak for Benzema. I can't speak for any world football player. My feeling is, though, playing for your country is such a great honor, and you want that honor. And of course, when it comes to the World Cup and the Euros, the two biggest international competitions for Europe, at least, obviously Copa America is bigger for South America because they don't play in the Euros. Again, I'm going to lean back on it. I think it's distraction that France doesn't want. Is it racist? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not a person to determine what would be racist in this situation, even though my country is pretty extremely racist when it comes to a lot of the problems. So, distraction. That's my verdict.
Well, you allude to a great point, and the most, I would say, notable point in this situation is that team chemistry, it's not just essential in your FIFA Ultimate Team. It's essential overall. Like, how many squads that have been rich in talent have just hit the self-destruct button, because they didn't get on. I hear stories. I was actually talking to someone on Football Republic, actually Christian Henage. He's a really interesting writer, I believe, for Yahoo, and he said that there was reports that during one World Cup, Wesley Sneijder sat across the table from a lesser experienced Dutch player that he played along with and went and asked him, "What do you make in a year?" And the lad told him, and he's like, "I make 10 times that." Like, just a conversation that just isn't needed at the dinner table. And apparently that caused a negative reaction from both sides of it. And Holland have been plagued in many tournaments from their lack of team chemistry.
That's a really good point.
France, as of recent, had a manager problem where a ton of their players threatened to walk out. They have had many a times where they've been plagued with a lack of team chemistry as well, because you have to imagine that, yes, everyone's from the same country, but these are guys that have been battling against each other oftentimes week in, week out in their regular respective teams and their clubs, and to try and get them to mesh together in this such a small space of time, it's not an easy task. That's why people often think, oh, Steven Gerrard and Lampard should just be able to play together during that time. I don't think they played anywhere near as good as what they should have, having been so quality of players. But one plays for Chelsea, one played for Liverpool. Like, they don't mesh together as easy, and it takes a lot of work and team chemistry, and I completely agree with that. All the other nonsense aside, whether it is true or not, if I'm Didier Deschamps, I'm thinking, we're the host nation, we have a fantastic squad. Yes, we could do with Benzema. He's a quality finisher. They need a centre forward so that they don't rely on Giroud. No one wants to rely on Giroud. But they have enough squad and talent in there to be able to go on and win this tournament without Benzema. Would he be a great addition? Yes. But would that added distraction of a player that's involved in a sex-tape scandal with one of his own national teammates, would that bring the team chemistry down a bit? I think it would.
You know what's interesting, too, is that France, even without Benzema, is still the outright, I think, favorites
Yes,
to win the competition. Host nation has a lot to do with that, I'm sure, but their team is stacked top to bottom. The other thing I was going to mention is there's something so magical about the understanding that we think we have when it comes to how incredibly difficult it is to get a team together with such little time playing with each other. I mean, on top of all of this, the season, again, I'm going to mention, the season just ended. For Benzema, it literally just ended like a week ago. We're not even at the week point, and the Euros are starting in just a second. So, I mean, if I'm the manager of that club and I look at my squad and I think that there could be a vital issue when it comes to that chemistry that you're talking about, I got to find a way to cut that out. Now, Benzema, unfortunately for him, is not the make or break player for France. I don't think if this was a Pogba issue, I think we're in a different position. Lloris is still starting in goal, right?
Griezmann, maybe.
Griezmann. There's guys on that team that, yeah, you probably are in a different position if Griezmann, Pogba, Lloris were to get into a sex tape scandal. Unfortunately for Benzema, he's just below, in my opinion, that top tier of difference makers. Yeah. And if you're not in that top tier, but granted, how they conduct themselves, I don't want to take away from Pogba and Griezmann. They're not getting into any sex scandal, blackmailing, racist alluding to issues.
I agree. They could do with them. That's the bottom line. They could, if it comes to a game in the 80-plus minute, you don't have a goal. You want the fox in the box in there. Benzema would provide you with would provide you with that potentially game-winning goal. But again, does that come at a cost with the lack of team chemistry that you may have in your squad? It is a complex issue, but as always, maybe Benzema can use this time off to reignite his flame with Rihanna when he's got a few months to just bask in the summer sun.
So the most controversial part of France right now is Pogba's haircuts.
We wonder what haircut he will sport during the Euros. I'm excited to see it. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. We will have plenty of Euro coverage coming your way and Copa America coverage. We will be at a couple of the games, so make sure to stay tuned and subscribe.